Chair shot reality on a big weekend. If you're a WWE fan, we consider it now one of the big five, maybe the big four. It is Money in the Bank in what is arguably WWE's top market of Chicago. Josh Eisenberg, Justin LaBar, WrestleRumble.com. We're going to obviously plug that. WrestleRumble.com. You can go up and win up to $1,000. That's first prize. I think second prize is like $500. Then it's like $50. All for going on WrestleRumble.com. You answer the questions. Who's going to win? Who's going to be the first one to grab a ladder? All kinds of fun.
I'm going to win this time, Justin. I'm grabbing that briefcase. It's going to be full of $1,000. I'm excited for it.
All kinds of fun questions, and they each worth a certain amount of points. He who has the most points, or she, is the grand prize winner, and then follows in suit. It's a lot of fun. It makes the show that much more exciting to watch. WrestleRumble.com. Josh, let's get into it. Let's get into what could be the most nuclear heat we've ever heard. As in Chicago, Roman Reigns up against Jinder Mahal. I don't even know where we start with this.
I think this match needs to be 7 minutes tops. The reaction for both guys are going to be through the roof with boos and It's funny because Jinder Mahal doesn't ever get cheered, no matter what. He's one of the original heels right now in WWE, but it's Chicago, so he could potentially get cheered just because of default of booing Roman Reigns. I don't know where you put this match on the card. That's my biggest question. It should be after, I think, a ladder match or potentially after the WWE Championship match. But either which way, Roman Reigns wins this match. We have to keep it quick. You have to get them in, have a couple of big spots for each guy, and then send them to the back because this match doesn't really interest most people.
No, sandwich it in between, like you said, right after a title match or a ladder match. I mean, this match really doesn't mean anything. While it's been consistently built on television because it involves Roman Reigns, it really doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things. I guess all it means is deeper storyline purpose of does Roman Reigns, does he suffer another loss? Which I don't think he does. The only way I can see Roman Reigns suffering a loss would be if the injured Singh brother comes back, and Jinder uses that to his advantage to get a win. But I don't see it. So for Wrestle Rumble purposes, I'm going Roman Reigns.
Yeah, that'll just recycle what we saw last year with Randy Orton having those outside guys interfere. And like you said, there doesn't need to be more of a storyline with these two guys. Speaking of storylines, I think one of the worst storylines we've seen in quite some time, Justin, is your boy Samuel Zayn and my boy Bobby Lashley, ironic on both ends there, competing one-on-one, a weird storyline, a fitness competition that they had this past week, an obstacle course that reminds you of the earlier days of NXT, sisters involved that we've never met, a really odd feud. This needs to end with Lashley winning, right?
I guess I'm not taking ownership of either of them being my boy. All I know is that this Sunday night, one of my favorite TV shows is coming back for its final season, is Shades of Blue. I will hopefully be catching up on some Shades of Blue during this. I can't. I just can't. I
don't get it.
I don't even know what it is. I don't know. Bobby Lashley. I don't know.
Sure, why not? Bobby. We don't even need to spend any more time on this. I feel like we spent 30 seconds too much on it anyway. So Bobby Lashley here as well.
Yeah, I'd rather spend more time talking about Lana, Natalya, Alexa Bliss, Charlotte.
Lana is the best. Lana number one.
Lana, Natalya, Alexa, Charlotte, Ember Moon, Becky Lynch, Naomi, and Sasha all going for the briefcase. I guess, Josh, you kind of narrowed this down. I mean, if you're in the same, I don't know if you think the same way I do. I look at these matches and I say, okay, Charlotte, no, been there, done that. Alexa, no. Even Natalya, I don't think so, even though she could play a role in Rousey's matches we'll talk about. To me, I really look at it, even Naomi. Naomi's had a lot of accolades. I look at this, really comes down to like Ember, maybe a Becky Lynch, maybe Lana. I don't look at any of the veterans who have done anything already. I think you automatically disqualify them from in the running of this.
So the only person, so I can make a case and I'll justify it really quickly. Alexa Bliss, this would be perfect for her gimmick, right? She's the one that's the shortest, the smallest. She could get her championship back the way she does, similar to how Carmella was booked this past year. I don't rule her out. I can see Natalya with an involvement of Ronda Rousey down the road if that is what WWE wants to do. As much as Natalya is a veteran, a professional, I don't want her carrying the briefcase. It doesn't do anything for me. And Charlotte, been there, done that. Yeah, she's done everything except win the Women's Royal Rumble because she wasn't in there, and the Money in the Bank. So I actually do think it comes down to Becky Lynch, potentially a Sasha Banks. Somebody on Twitter asked me why aren't any of the really new and young influx of talent like a Ruby Riott or a Mandy Rose or a Sonya Deville in this match. And I think the answer is they need somebody who was previously a champion to resurrect their career and to get a big jolt of energy and a big jolt of adrenaline back. And who is that? That's Becky Lynch. So I think Becky Lynch wins this. I think she can do most with it and give herself more of an edgier character, not necessarily a heel, but an edgier character whenever she decides to actually cash that in.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's eight ladies to choose from, and I'm actually right there with you. Becky Lynch is my pick as well. Some of what you said, I feel that she could get a great resurgence. She had a period of absence, filming whatever movie she was filming, and then even prior to that, she kind of really fell off as we've seen the rapid pace of women come to the Raw and SmackDown. Between the call-ups and between how much Charlotte and Sasha went back and forth. Becky really got lost in the fold. So I think this would be a prime way to get her some relevance, and I think Becky. It's great if you have it for Becky because again she has a year to cash it in, so you can do you could spend a lot of time really letting her milk that before she even decides to cash it in, winning wherever that is, and depending on who the champion is at the time.
Yeah, and I think either her or whoever does win this, it's going to just build a storyline of betraying your best friend, whether it's her and Charlotte, whether it's Natalia with Ronda Rousey, things like that. So I think those are two of the favorites, even though, again, like I said, I'm not sure Natalia would be my choice right now.
Well, and I also like Becky because she represents SmackDown, and I do see somebody from SmackDown winning this because the Raw Women's Championship, which we're getting ready to talk about, it seems like it's going to be very much focused around one or two people, maybe three people. But the SmackDown kind of seems like it could play musical chairs. It could be tossed around. It could have a license to steal that the Money in the Bank would be. So let's go into the Raw Women's Championship, the match that you can make a case that this could certainly be positioned in a headlining spot just by just what surrounds it, and that is the debut, the singles debut at least, of Ronda Rousey challenging for the championship up against Nia Jax.
Does this close Money in the Bank in your mind, Justin? I don't think it does. I can see it, but a lot of people are thinking it could.
It could. I mean, it's the banner match that they're putting on the graphic on WWE's website. It's getting a lot
Twitter,
of people,
everywhere.
Yeah, so I think that we'll probably close with the men's Money in the Bank. I think they open the show with the women, close with the men, but this will certainly be positioned somewhere with importance, as it should be, because Ronda Rousey, it's a big deal. She's a big deal, whether people like that or don't like it. I know I know she's getting a title shot in her first singles match, but she is a draw. So I can't though. I can't pick her to win the title. I just don't see it, and I do think if they start the show with the women's ladder in the match, that opens up a possibility later on for Natalia to come in, whether she has a briefcase or not. I could just see Natalia get involved. It's weird to think that Ronda Rousey could lose her first singles match, but I think it's going to come down to that.
I tend to kind of agree with you. I'm still going to go Rousey winning, but not winning the women's championship. I do see an interference of sorts with Natalia. I'm not sure how they're going to really script this out. I think this is the one match that they know what they're going to do with it weeks in advance. So when they booked this match, they already had an idea in my mind of how the finish ends. And I don't know if you can say that about a lot of the other matches, the men's ladder match, the women's ladder match, Styles and Nakamura, that we'll talk about later on here on the playlist. But I do think that Rousey wins. I just don't think she wins the championship. So I'm going to keep it open-ended like that. If you're making your Wrestle Rumble picks, pick Rousey to win. I can't see her losing her first match. And I think that they gave Nia Jax the championship because she is even more of an impressive feat for Rousey to overcome.
This is also probably a match that they've done a few times in the Performance Center. They've probably walked this match out a little bit, as again it's Rousey does not have Kurt Angle, Triple H, and Stephanie to conceal her, to hide. I mean, so it's her and Nia out there in the open. So I'll be curious, how long do you think this goes, bell to bell?
I would think maybe 10 minutes tops. I was actually surprised at how Nia Jax worked a longer match than I expected against Alexa Bliss. And kudos to Nia for doing that, because a woman at 272 pounds, hell, even a man at 272 pounds, it's hard sometimes to do a 10-minute match. I think there's a little bit of a feeling out process for the first minute or two of the match as they go back and forth trying to one up the other, and then I think you get into it. So I would say maybe 8 to 11 minutes. That's a sweet spot for me.
You only have one chance to truly make a first impression. She made a good first impression in the tag match or Mania, but again, now this is all up to her and Nia Jax. Do we see Ronda Rousey's matches booked with any similarity to Brock Lesnar in the sense of it's got a little bit more of that shoot fight feel?
Yeah, I mean, I think so a little bit, but I think whenever with Ronda Rousey, it's a little bit different. Whether it's the age, whether it's how Ronda's booked, they're both UFC fighters. I understand that, but the difference between Rousey and Lesnar is Rousey's not this physical presence, even though she's one of the baddest fighters. but she's not this physical, you're looking at her and seeing that she is this dominant horse of a woman like Nia is. So if anything, Nia should have been built like Brock Lesnar was before she captured the championship. She wasn't really. She lost a bunch of matches in between. But I do think that you're going to see more of a shoot fight to it. I do think Ronda really gets her on the ground for a little bit, tries to get her to tap out. Nia throws her outside of the ring. It's going to be more than just 4 or 5 minutes of grappling.
It shall be interesting. One way or the other, we'll definitely be talking about it Monday morning to see as Ronda Rousey's singles career getting ready to take place here in Chicago, Money in the Bank. Love to hear what you think. You can hit us up all over social media. You can leave a comment on this video at Josh Eisenberg 4, at Justin LeBar. We have Chair Shot Rally on Facebook. Everywhere. Can't miss us. You don't want to miss us. We got more coming up in the playlist still to come. We got to talk about the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. Plus, we got Styles versus Nakamura and a whole bunch more. Don't go anywhere. Just Chair Shot Reality on Wrestling Inc.